I'm Nora Duncan, State Director for AARP Connecticut. Welcome to another episode of Coffee and Tea with AARP CT, a bi-weekly interview series on the issues important to people 50 plus in Connecticut and their families. Today, AARP volunteer Lee Fallet and I will welcome Commissioner Amy Porter from the Connecticut Department of Aging and Disability Services. So before we get into our questions with Commissioner Porter, I'd like to give Lee a chance to say a few words about herself and her role as a volunteer at AARP.
Hi, thanks, Nora. My name is Lee, and I'm a retired occupational therapist, and I've been a member of AARP for a long time, but took advantage of a free social event in Bridgeport, and then from there I became an advocacy volunteer, and I just recently joined the caregiving team, so very active and very happy.
We really appreciate it. We love that we get volunteers when we're out in community because if they meet us, see us, talk to other volunteers and say, maybe that is for me. So thanks for all you did at the Capitol this year. We had a really successful legislative session. Commissioner Porter, thank you for being here with us, and in advance, thank you for all that you do. Maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and the Department of Aging and Disability Services. What do you guys do?
Great, happy to. But first, let me thank you for inviting me today. It's great to be with both you and Lee today. You guys are such great partners at AARP, and I love working with you. So turning to ADS, so our Department of Aging and Disability Services, or ADS, was created back in 2011, and I've been honored to serve as commissioner since the inception of the agency. Changed our name a couple times, sort of as we've evolved as an agency. So when we were first created, we brought together several disability programs from across the state and were able to house them all in the same department. And then in 2018, the State Department of Aging was also added to our department's portfolio. So now we can fully align programs and resources to really address functional needs across the disability population and the aging population. So we provide a wide range of supports and services for people with disabilities and older adults, and our core services really focus on employment, education, independent living, accessibility, and advocacy. And we partner a lot with various community organizations and really to achieve our mission.
Thank you so much. Lee, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Okay, well, thank you, Commissioner. We want to talk about a few things today, but let's start with the state of our senior centers. During the pandemic, they faced a number of challenges that they rose to the occasion with. But based on your observations today, what is the state of our senior centers and how are they moving forward?
Yeah, I was able to see firsthand the creativity and the enthusiasm of our Connecticut senior centers, their directors, their personnel, particularly during the pandemic. I was able to connect with the directors as they got together. I was able to connect with them virtually and try to amplify their needs at the executive branch level to be able to make sure that they had what they needed. They've really demonstrated the many ways that they're a lifeline for people, keeping older adults in the community engaged and supported. And they were able during the pandemic to switch from their traditional in-person focus to more of a, thinking outside the walls, offering grab and go meals, social isolation kits, virtual exercise. I know you guys did a lot of that as well, and a lot more. So now that older adults are able to connect in person, I think they've been rethinking and retooling. They've been tireless in focusing on getting people back together. Loss of social connectedness, as you both know, is really having a reverberating impact across our society. And it's so much more common in the lives of older adults and people with disabilities. So I think they're continuing to do a lot of outreach, a lot of new programming to really get people back together again. We did get some ARPA funding to support some initiatives in the senior centers. And despite some recent cuts in that ARPA funding, we have had an unprecedented opportunity to invest in senior centers. So prior to the General Assembly changes recently for the funding levels, we were able to fund more than $5 million in senior center improvements that range from things like touchless soap dispensers to building a new media room, getting the newest technology. So a lot of great things happening in senior centers. They're going to continue to be really pillars in the community and foundational in reconnecting older adults with one another.
That's great. You know, you make me think of something. We have grant opportunities coming up for the AARP Connecticut Livable Communities grants, which many senior centers apply for, but as do many others. So visit our website on July 1st and you'll see the opportunity there for up to $5,000 in grants for lots of creative things that can happen in senior centers, community centers, nonprofits all over the state who serve people of all ages, but we really like to focus on intergenerational and age 50 plus. So, okay, let's talk about the legislative session. We are just coming off of the 2024 legislative session, and you and I have attended bill signing ceremonies. We saw each other at the Capitol a lot. I would like your perspective on how your department and those you served fared during the legislative session. So you want to give us some highlights?
Sure. Interesting. This was a short session. Did not feel like a short session. There was so much activity. I'm not sure that it ever stopped after last session. I think it kept going right through in between the two sessions, but it really was a strong session for both the aging and disability communities. As commissioner for an aging and disability agency, I was delighted to see that the priority bill for the Speaker of the House and the caucus focused on aging issues was complemented by a governor's legislative focus on long-term care settings. So that was unprecedented for me in the time that I've been commissioner. So I know AARP was as excited by these priorities as we were at ADS. And this follows on a priority bill from last year's session that focused on the needs of individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So really having some major legislative emphasis and prioritization on aging and disability issues has been really makes me hopeful for the future. So I can walk through a few of the highlights if you want. Okay, there were a lot, but I'll pick some. So the nursing and home-based care. So Public Act 24-141 is an act promoting nursing home resident quality of life. This bill is going to undoubtedly help individuals who are both seeking information about our state's long-term care facilities and also improve the quality of life for current long-term care residents. It's got a collection of measures that is really designed to strengthen our state's overall long-term care system by rewarding facilities that prioritize quality in-person, person-centered care, which is what we all want to see, and also increasing accountability. Public Act 2439 is an act supporting Connecticut seniors and the improvement of nursing and home-based care. So, you know, a lot of overlap between these bills, but this also increases the oversight of the state's, our sprawling home care industry, including creating an online registry of home care workers and promoting safety and accountability by adding some photo ID badges. We really appreciate this comprehensive look at supporting older adults in Connecticut and really hopeful about the expectations that it sets around quality care. We also are encouraged by the legislature's focus on access issues for people with disabilities. So Public Act 24-113 is an act concerning healthcare accessibility for persons with disability. This has been a huge issue for individuals with disabilities, for older adults. It requires healthcare facilities and practice locations to train their staff on caring with patients with accessibility needs. Really also looking at their inventorying all their medical diagnostic equipment and creating a plan to ensure compliance with some more stringent accessibility standards that we're going to see in a couple of years. So really exciting stuff there. Healthcare is so pivotal to our lives, and having people be able to access that care is important. Another related bill is wheelchair repair. You talk about access. So in response to last year's task force, their Public Act 2458 requires wheelchair repair companies to complete repairs within 10 business days once replacement parts are available and there's authorization. People who use chairs and rely on chairs for their mobility have been facing a system where when their wheelchair breaks down, they're unable to go anywhere for a very long period of time. So this focus really changes that It also asks companies to report average repair wait times to the Department of Social Services, and our state's going to establish a complaint hotline. So in addition, there'll be a new advisory council to kind of monitor what's going on there. So those two are kind of hand in hand about access. Another form of access is access for individuals who are deaf, hard of hearing, or deaf-blind. The services in Connecticut are fragmented for this population. So the General Assembly has directed ADS to create a new Bureau of Services for persons who are deaf, deaf-blind, or hard of hearing. It's also going to ask, so we'll be hiring a bureau director for that. And state agencies are also going to be asked to designate a point of contact. So each state agency, if there's concerns there, there's somebody that the individual can go to, and we can start to create a stronger network. So we're really looking forward to getting a director on board. This is effective in October. So we're sure that that director can help us prioritize the many issues that are facing these communities. So those are some of the big ones. There's a lot of others, but you guys do a great job of compiling a lot of those. So I don't want to go into a ton of detail on that, but being a short legislative session, we definitely saw significant progress on some of the critical issues that face the people we serve.
I appreciate that. And there's also some summary of what AARP worked on, which is a lot of crossover with what you have worked on our website. And yeah, it didn't feel short, but it was a very accomplished legislative session. And I think for the first time, I've been around working with the legislature for longer than I care to think about, but I've never seen an aging bill be a speaker's priority.
Right.
So to have the speaker and the governor, really big deal, and has a ton to do with the work that a lot of advocates have done. And, a lot of what the pandemic kind of raised as issues for us. And the fact that, we have an aging community, and there's going to be more people over age 65 than under 18 across America in 10 years. And that's the first time that's ever happened. So we need to set up systems that work. So I appreciate that. Lee, you are up.
Okay. Well, it was a really exciting time to be up at the Capitol this year. I really felt productive in the advocacy work we did. And I am part of what is being called a silver tsunami. So yes, we were on our way. But I was curious what options or what services the agency has in terms of benefit counseling and employment services. If you could tell us a little bit more about that, Commissioner.
Great. Yeah, employment is one of our core services, so we focus pretty heavily there. We have a senior community services employment program in our Bureau on Aging, where folks can get connected to sort of paid internships to be able to get sort of relaunch into a career. We also have our vocational rehabilitation programs. We have one for individuals who are blind and one for individuals with all other disabilities, and there's no age limit on that. So older adults can access those services if they have a disability. And those services are really designed to help people find a job, launch a career, sharpen their skills, or maybe advance in employment. Maybe they've been feeling kind of stuck and need some assistance in trying to move forward. So we have a lot of programming focused on that. Our benefits counseling services, there's a lot of myths out there about, should I go to work? I'm going to lose all my benefits. And in almost every case, people are better off financially and emotionally working. So our benefits counselors really help dispel those myths. They look at the individual and what their own profile is and really help them understand what might happen so they can make informed decisions about work, about earnings, about healthcare needs. So that's a nice wraparound services for individuals who are looking for work. We also administer the Choices program here, which empowers Medicare eligible individuals to make those same informed choices about their health insurance to make sure they're optimizing their health access and making sure they're optimizing their benefits.
Yeah, we always refer people to the Choices program. So thanks to them. And that's actually a great segue because you contract as an organization with many nonprofit organizations to help expand your reach, help more people in the community. So maybe you can talk to us a little bit about what those nonprofits, some of them do for you in community.
Yeah, our system, our human service landscape in Connecticut is so intertwined, and it relies heavily on a public-private partnership. So I think our partners are too many to list, so I won't try to do that because I'm sure to miss somebody. But let me share a few examples. So maybe focusing on a couple of the critical issues. So we know that nutrition is a real issue, and it was at the forefront of many of the legislative discussions that we were all part of this year. So we distribute our funding to our 5 area agencies on aging, who are providers in our community, and they then further contract with elderly nutrition providers. So we're continuing to, as you said, expand that reach. The program is really designed to reduce food security and also to tackle isolation. So it has 2 main components. There's congregate meals that are provided in community settings like the senior centers that we talked about earlier, senior housing buildings. And there's also home delivered meals, commonly known as Meals on Wheels, which allows residents to stay in their homes or their preferred community setting and avoid institutionalization. And it's got that built-in sort of check-in with somebody to make sure that they're okay, you know, as the meals are being delivered. Those community partners are so critical in they're the ones who have eyes on people every day. So they're able to go and deliver the meals, check in, see how they're doing. And, you know, we've heard people talk about how important that just having that consistency and that voice and that what becomes friendship in many cases, how important that is. So those are some critical partners. Caregiving is another critical issue, as you know. So our statewide respite program offers relief to stressed caregivers. So we partner with the Connecticut chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. We partner with the area agencies on aging. You promote a lot of those services. So we provide a lot of our Older Americans Act. That's where most of the funding for older adults services and supports comes from for us, other than our state funding. So we contract with our 5 area agencies on aging for all of that. And again, like the nutrition program, they continue to then contract out. On the disability side, we also offer comprehensive independent living services, and those through our Connecticut's 5 community-based centers for independent living. They're critical partners for us. They promote empowerment and self-reliance for people with disabilities. They work to identify individual issues, develop strategies, promote self-advocacy, and enhance independent living. One of their focus areas has been technology, and technology is a big challenge for folks. So the SILs are a partner with our Connecticut Tech Act program, who also partners with folks like ACES and CREC, Oak Hill, EastCon, and others to offer device loans, demonstrations, recycling, training. So lots of different partners out there. I hope this gives you an idea of just how critical the public-private partnership is to our success and how wide that network really is.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm having flashbacks to 2020 and working with you and Mairead Painter, the long-term care ombudsman, to purchase iPads and then work with Oak Hill and their NEAT center to get them into places that had no connectivity, residential care homes and the like, to make sure that people could connect. We've come so far since then. Now it's like a regular part of what you do, and it was kind of definitely not when the pandemic hit. So as my former state president, Tia Murphy, used to say, the tarnished silver lining of the pandemic is a lot of what we've been talking about today. Some of the legislative stuff, you know, the tech, the things that have really come into focus for people, I think, a lot more. So Lee, you are going to take us home with the commissioner here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm always amazed at all the services that are available. But is there anything that we've missed, Commissioner, that you would like to add as we close out?
Anything we've missed? I feel like we've just scratched the surface, but let me start with that. You know, I am so fortunate that ADS really has dedicated staff, really strong, caring staff, and great community partners to serve the state. We're also fortunate that the governor and his administration and now the legislature are focused on these issues, and they want our services to be more accessible. With accessibility in mind, the governor is really focused on that forward facing, making sure that the customer experience makes sense, that the, you know, as residents of the state of Connecticut, we can easily access services. So we'll be launching a new and improved website by early fall to streamline our information, better showcase our services, because it is sometimes it's hard to navigate because there are so many programs, but they're discrete programs in a lot of different state agencies. So we're also working very closely with the other human service agencies to sort of strengthen that web, strengthen the communication, share with one another what we provide, so that, you know, when somebody calls me and I know the service isn't with me, it's somewhere else, I can direct them appropriately. So I think we're trying to focus on that. We have a ton of services. There's a lot of information on our website now. As I said, hopefully it will be stronger by the fall and people will be able to navigate, but we're here to help. So check out our website or give us a call. Our phone number, 860-424-5055. Our goal is really to listen to what your needs are. We're not always the right next step for you, but we do our best to make sure people do get to the next step on their journey to get supported. So those are some of the things I think I wanted to share.
Great. Yeah, we really thank you for being here with us today. We think it's important to make sure we highlight these things for people. We get contacts all the time with people who just don't know where to go, and we often refer them to your agency and those area agencies on aging, which are kind of like the mini little you know, departments in all of the regions who really can answer so many questions. So appreciate it. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Commissioner. And thanks to all of you for tuning in for another episode of Coffee and Tea with AARP CT. Join us again in 2 weeks for another episode, and catch back episodes on demand right here on our Facebook page or on YouTube. And I should give a shout out to the Community Access Television program folks who put us out on their air all the time too. So thank you for watching there. Scan the QR code here to become an e-advocate and to help us advance policies important to the 50 plus in Connecticut. Thanks so much, and appreciate your time.